What if I told you that you're not struggling because you failed, but you're struggling because the system wants you broke? So we are living in a financial illusion at the end of the day. The headlines say inflation is under control, but try buying groceries without flinch. The truth is the cost of simply existing is spiraling, and no one at the top seems to even care. This isn't just about numbers. It's about stress, sleepless nights, skipped meals, and broken dreams. See, a staggering 70% of Americans say they're dealing with anxiety and depression because of money. That's not normal, to say the least. That's not okay, and it's not your fault. And this is something worth touching on. All right, so I want to take a minute, share some thoughts in reference to just the current state of the economy and what's really happening behind the scenes beyond what we're being told. So, in this video here, I want to focus on three primary talking points that I think is really worth highlighting further outside of the lamestream media that continues to pump us the narrative that everything is fine. So in this video here, I'm going to break down what I consider to be three crucial points, which is causing today's economy to feel more like a nightmare for some. And one is how the official numbers are lying to you about inflation. The second one, why even basic living essentials such as housing, healthcare, and food are becoming luxuries. And then last, the dangerous financial trap quietly enslaving millions of Americans and they don't even recognize it. So as always, if you guys want to hear more of these little short takes, definitely hit that thumbs up button, drop a comment down below, let me know what I missed, or feel free to add to it. And then if you're new, make sure you subscribe so you never miss one of these updates when I put them out. But the very first point, the financial lie. And so you've probably heard the latest report that inflation is up slightly, but yet it's still manageable. And that's what they try to assure us. But here's the catch. The way the government calculates inflation has been manipulated more times than we can actually count. So since the Jimmy Carter era, they've changed the formula so many times that the average person wouldn't even begin to even question the fact that it's been changed even once. So each time they make it seem more favorable for themselves and they fudge in the numbers all the way along. So it's like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound and calling it a recovery. And so you got gas prices, groceries, rent, insurance, I can go on and on. So if you live in the real world, you know that prices don't match the official story. So every time you swipe your card or you check your bank account, you don't actually need a PhD in economics to know you're getting squeezed. So the system tells us that you're probably just bad at budgeting. But what if the truth is that the dollar itself is broken? That's the real problem. The next point, how the basic life essentials are becoming a premium and a luxury for the ones that can afford it. So remember when a summer road trip, back when you were perhaps a kid, used to be somewhat manageable, but now it seems like a second mortgage for some. So today, a 4-day vacation, according to recent reports, which includes a rental car, hotel, and a couple meals when you're gone, can easily cost over $1,000 now. So that's not a luxury, that's the new middle class norm, and that's not going anywhere. And so let's talk about housing. The average price of a home in the US is now over $500,000, of course, depending on where you live at. So that's $500,000 for a roof over your head. So who's buying these homes is the next question. Certainly not the young families and the working people the economy supposedly services. And then there's healthcare, or should we call it wealth care, because the average family premium has doubled in just over a decade, now sitting close to around $2,000 a month. So that's not health coverage, that's legalized extortion. And then you got food, the most basic necessity. It's pushing past the limits. The price of dog food has jumped 45% in just a few years, and that's food for your animal, not your kids. So imagine what families are going through just trying to keep the fridge stocked. So it's not inflation, it's extraction. The economy isn't broken, it's working exactly how they designed it, which was to funnel wealth upward, leaving the rest of us fending for scraps. And then the last point, the debt trap. Because all this boils down to the erosion of the purchasing power of your dollar. And now that the big beautiful bill is passed, it's only going to get worse. So now, here's where it gets sinister. 1 in 4 Americans are now using the buy now, pay later program just to buy groceries. So think about that. We've normalized going into debt just to eat. So you got the BNPL companies that know exactly what they're doing. They hook you with convenience, then bleed you dry with hidden fees and compounding interest. So it's a modern day pay loan scheme, which is as an app on your phone, which leads people to scroll and then click, not realizing they're financing their entire lives away. And let's not forget the emotional toil that a lot of people go through. See, financial pressure is now a leading source of anxiety and depression in the US. So apparently nearly 70% of people report that money is making them sick, mentally, emotionally, and physically. So it's not laziness. It's not irresponsibility. It's the crushing weight of an economy built to exploit, not to empower. So this is systemic in and of itself. See, decades of policy failure, corporate greed, and blind faith in free markets have led us here. And while the elites hoard wealth and lobby for even more loopholes, working Americans are skipping meals, delaying their dream, and falling further behind, on the things needed to sustain themselves. And so the next time someone tells you to just work harder, ask them how hard a single mother or a family in general needs to work to afford $2,000 health insurance premiums, or how many side hustles a 28-year-old might need to buy a $500,000 home. This isn't about effort. It's about the system designed to drain you dry. And so the average person, even though they're not the most financially savvy, they may not be necessarily bad with money, but they're being misled and deceived into thinking it's their fault and not the system itself. So we're navigating a rigged game, and the house always seems to win. But here's the good news. The first step out of this trap is seeing it clearly, calling it what it is, and refusing to blame ourselves for a system that was never meant to serve us. And so this, my friends, is something definitely worth paying attention to, with the 3 primary factors that the mainstream media won't tell you. And as always, the goal is not to give you all this information to discourage you, but hopefully to educate you, to encourage you, and to stir you on to hopefully make some changes at the very small level when it comes to how you handle your own personal finances. And it has a lot to do with the idea of thinking beyond the moment and realizing it's your responsibility to prepare and plan ahead for the days to come. And realizing that any opportunity you have today to earn extra or to be able to put aside something outside of your daily necessities can be a blessing in disguise. Because one way to protect and preserve everything you have worked hard for the days ahead is to get them outside of the very same currency that we're working so hard for. Because this in itself is the problem. And so once again, the entire system is a debt-based trap, and it starts with our currency. So the moment people realize that, you then can take the power upon yourself to redeem these notes, which is what they were always meant for. And that goes to understanding monetary history in of itself. If you realize that these were originally receipts meant to be redeemed back to the banking structure for real money, aka sound money, then the obvious choice is to just backtrack your steps and do the same thing they did 100 years ago when it was common knowledge that these were receipts. You simply figure out how many of these things you were to let go of in the form of redeeming for gold and silver, of course. So once again, it requires a lot of thinking and potential planning, but then again, that will be step 1 to being able to buy at the very minimum an ounce of silver to use as a saving for future references, so that you're not completely blindsided by all this stuff that's happening right now. And of course, there's other ways that could be more intentional, whether it be gold or platinum or whatever it might be, and then some like to speculate in the crypto side, but whatever. The point is, this is our problem. Do something about it. And once again, just trying to share my 2 cents on the matter. And as always, if you guys want some resources and more insights to the things I actually do myself, this is not financial advice, but then again, just check the links in the description and you'll get more insight as to what are some ways to redeem this very same problem that I'm referring to in the form of dollars. But other than that, just sharing my 2 cents. Curious to hear what you think. If you found value, hit the thumbs up, drop a comment. I'll catch you guys later.